Lana Turner was born Julia Jean Turner on February 8, 1921, in the tiny mining town of Wallace, Idaho. Her beginnings were modest, her future unimaginable. No one could have guessed that the girl sweeping floors to help her mother make rent would one day become one of the most glamorous and scandalous stars in Hollywood history. But fate had other plans. It happened fast. She was just 16, skipping school and sipping a Coke at the counter of Schwab's Pharmacy in Los Angeles, a place where movie dreams often began. A talent scout spotted her, and within weeks she was standing in front of cameras instead of classrooms. Her first role? A brief appearance in the 1937 film They Won't Forget. It lasted only a few minutes, but Lana's tight sweater and smoldering screen presence ignited a wildfire. Overnight, she became the Sweater Girl, a nickname that would cling to her throughout the early stages of her career. This wasn't just a lucky break, it was Hollywood alchemy. And Lana Turner was gold. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, Turner rose through the ranks of MGM's legendary star system. She was everywhere, in musicals, melodramas, and hard-boiled noir films. Her beauty was luminous, but it was her ability to command a scene, whether in love, rage, or heartbreak, that made her unforgettable. She dazzled in films like Ziegfeld Girl, 1941, The Postman Always Rings Twice, 1946, and Peyton Place, 1957, the last earning her an Academy Award nomination. Turner wasn't just a pretty face, she was a powerhouse. But off-screen, her life was already unraveling into something far more dramatic than any role she ever played. Fame brought wealth, adoration, and power, but it also brought scrutiny, scandal, and betrayal. And as Lana's career soared, her personal life was spiraling into chaos. A chaos that would eventually explode into one of the most shocking Hollywood headlines of all time. Lana Turner didn't just live in the spotlight, she burned through it. On screen, she played seductresses, wronged women, and femme fatale. Off-screen, her life mirrored the melodrama she starred in, full of passion, heartbreak, and whispered secrets. Her romantic life became legendary, and not always for the right reasons. Over the course of her life, Lana was married 8 times, to 7 different men. Each marriage brought new headlines, new heartbreak, and a deeper entanglement with the myth of Lana Turner, Hollywood siren. Her love life wasn't just tabloid fodder, it became part of her identity. She once quipped, "My goal was to have 1 husband and 7 children, but it turned out the other way around." That single line, sharp, funny, tragic, captured everything about her. The glamour, the wit, and the aching loneliness beneath it all. But none of her love affairs, no matter how dramatic, would prepare her for the nightmare that unfolded in 1958. That spring, Turner's personal life exploded into public scandal when her 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed and killed Lana's boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato. Stompanato wasn't just a jealous lover. He was a known enforcer for mobster Mickey Cohen, a man with a temper and a history of violence. Lana had tried to leave him. He wouldn't let her. On April 4, 1958, during a violent confrontation inside their Beverly Hills home, Cheryl stepped in to protect her mother. In a moment that would haunt both of them forever, she grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed Stompanato in the chest. He died instantly. The press pounced. The trial was brutal. Lana sobbed on the witness stand. Cheryl, barely a teenager, gave tearful testimony. After days of public spectacle, the court ruled it a justifiable homicide. Cheryl had acted in defense of her mother. But though they were cleared in court, neither woman would ever escape the emotional toll. Hollywood had seen scandals before, but never like this. Lana Turner wasn't just a star anymore. She was a headline. A tragedy. A woman marked by violence, motherhood, and survival. Lana Turner's love life read like a script written by fate and fueled by disaster. 8 marriages. 7 men. Each relationship more complicated, and sometimes more dangerous, than the last. Her first husband was bandleader Artie Shaw. They married in 1940 on a whim. Lana was young, swept up in the glamour of Shaw's fame. But the reality was far from romantic. He was brilliant, controlling, and emotionally cold. The marriage crumbled in just a few months. Next came Joseph Stephen Crane, tall, handsome, and smooth-talking. They married in 1942, until Lana discovered his divorce from his previous wife hadn't finalized. The marriage was annulled. They remarried later that year, but the second try didn't last either. Still, from that union came Lana's greatest joy, her only child, Cheryl, born in July 1943. In 1948, she married Bob Topping, a wealthy socialite and brother to the Yankees owner. It was a marriage of Hollywood glamour and East Coast prestige. But Bob drank too much and Lana worked too hard. After 4 years they divorced. Then came Lex Barker. He was famous for playing Tarzan. Tall, chiseled, golden-haired. They married in 1953, but behind the Hollywood smiles was something far darker. Years later, Cheryl Crane would reveal that Barker had sexually abused her during the marriage. When Lana found out, she didn't hesitate. She kicked Barker out and filed for divorce in 1957. She never spoke publicly about what Cheryl endured, but her silence was not weakness. It was protection. And her decision to end the marriage was immediate and absolute. Lana's fifth husband was Fred May, a Texas rancher. It was a quieter life, far from the chaos of Hollywood, but too far. The worlds didn't mix, and within 2 years they split. Each marriage seemed to promise something Lana never quite found: stability, safety, love that lasted. But each time she was left alone again, bruised but not broken. And there were still 2 more husbands to come, and one final betrayal that would haunt her to the end. In 1965, Lana Turner took yet another leap of faith into her 6th marriage, this time with nightclub hypnotist Robert Eaton. It was the kind of romance that started with sparks and promises, the kind Lana had chased for decades. But like so many before, the fire didn't last. Eaton's charm gave way to chaos. Behind the scenes, the relationship unraveled with arguments, jealousy, and emotional distance. By 1969, Lana had had enough. They divorced, and Turner once again walked away from a marriage that had promised refuge, but delivered regret. But what came next wasn't just another failed romance. It was betrayal at its most sinister. That same year, Lana married Ronald Peller, a man who called himself Dr. Dante, a self-proclaimed psychic hypnotist, and by some accounts, a con artist. At first, he swept her off her feet with mystique and confidence. But soon Lana would learn the truth. Peller wasn't just eccentric, he was dangerous. Within months, money began to disappear. Business deals turned shady. Lana felt duped, not just as a woman, but as a legend who had spent decades controlling her own narrative. In 1972, she filed for divorce, and the scandal made headlines. Peller would later be involved in multiple fraud cases unrelated to Lana, cementing his reputation as a predator, not a partner. That final marriage broke something in her. After Peller, Lana Turner never married again. She had trusted too many, forgiven too much. And now she was done chasing fairy tales. But through it all, the public betrayals, private tragedies, and tabloid chaos, Lana never lost the thing that made her unforgettable: presence. Even when her heart was shattered, she carried herself like a queen. Her marriages may have failed, but Lana Turner never faded. She remained a symbol of old Hollywood elegance, and of survival in a world that devoured the vulnerable. And behind the satin gowns and red lips, she held secrets. Some too dark to reveal. Others too dangerous to be spoken aloud. In the golden age of Hollywood, everything glittered: the gowns, the awards, the lies. Beneath that sheen, there existed a world of whispered secrets, unspoken desires, and hidden relationships the studios would kill to suppress. Lana Turner knew that world all too well. Though she was painted as the ultimate man's fantasy, the platinum blonde bombshell, Lana harbored a secret. A list. 7 names. All women. All actresses she'd allegedly loved, and later claimed to despise. Not because of scandal, but because of betrayal, heartbreak, and silence in moments that mattered most. The first name? Barbara Stanwyck. According to long-circulating rumors, their secret affair began in the early 1940s, hidden between soundstages and guarded hotel suites. Barbara, older and commanding, was said to have seduced Lana during a shoot at Paramount. "She taught me how to lie with my eyes," Lana once said. "And then she used that same trick on me." Their relationship, if real, didn't last. Barbara withdrew, returning to her famously private world. Lana, craving connection, felt abandoned, used. The wound festered, and Stanwyck became the first ghost on that list. Next came Greta Garbo, the woman Hollywood called a mystery, and Lana called a ghost with lipstick. For a brief time, Garbo let Lana into her inner circle, a rare thing. But she kept her distance in public, refusing to even acknowledge Lana at a major industry event. For someone who had once whispered sweet nothings in the dark, the rejection was brutal. "She made me feel invisible the moment I needed her to see me most," Lana confided to a close friend. The third name was the wildest: Tallulah Bankhead. Their affair burned fast and hot, scandalous, even by Hollywood's hidden standards. Tallulah was electric, unfiltered, and completely unpredictable. "She made me feel like a souvenir," Lana later said. "Something she picked up for a night and tossed aside." When Lana heard that Bankhead had bragged about their tryst at a dinner party, she was livid. The fallout? An icy feud that never thawed even in death. 3 names down. For more to go. And each one cut deeper than the last. The 4th name on Lana Turner's secret list? And Sheridan. Known as the Oomph Girl, Sheridan was Warner Brothers' answer to MGM's blonde bombshell. Off-screen, she and Lana shared quiet moments far away from the flashbulbs, until professional rivalry tore them apart. Their rumored affair simmered with tension, sparked in hushed corners of Beverly Hills cocktail lounges. But when both actresses were up for the same role, and Lana won, everything changed. "I shared my bed with her," Lana reportedly told a friend. "But she stole my spotlight." To Lana, the betrayal wasn't just professional. It was deeply personal. Sheridan cut off all contact. Lana never forgave her. 5th was the enigmatic Marlena Dietrich, a woman who exuded power, mystery, and impossible elegance. Their connection, by most accounts, was more obsession than romance. "She dressed like a man, kissed like a god, and treated me like her mirror," Lana once said. Marlene, who collected lovers like trophies, never let Lana in emotionally. The secrecy was thrilling, but the lack of intimacy left Lana hollow. When it ended, it wasn't with a bang. It was with indifference. Lana hated indifference. Then there was Joan Crawford, and theirs may have been the most volatile connection of them all. Their rumored affair sparked out of mutual attraction and mutual ambition. 2 icons, both hungry to outshine the other. But when Joan was caught flirting with one of Lana's husbands at a party, the fragile trust between them shattered. "She was poison in pearls," Lana spat years later. "I don't hate many people, but I hate what Joan did to me." And finally, Gene Tierney, the most tragic name on the list. Their connection wasn't long, but it was real. At a time when Lana was unraveling, Gene gave her stillness. But Gene's own struggles, including severe mental illness, began to overwhelm their bond. Lana pulled away, out of fear and shame. She needed help, Lana said, and I gave her passion instead. It was the one name she didn't speak with anger, just guilt. Each woman on that list wasn't just a lover, they were a reflection of Lana's own unspoken war, between desire and reputation, between intimacy and survival. In old Hollywood, image was everything. Studios controlled narratives like dictatorships. Stars could be goddesses on screen, but behind closed doors they were bound by fear, contracts, and the threat of exposure. For Lana Turner, the price of playing along was steep. She was expected to be flawless, desirable, heterosexual, the ultimate man's woman. But that wasn't the whole story, not even close. The 7 names she whispered in private were more than just past lovers. They were reminders of a life she could never truly claim as her own. She had loved women, but she could never say it out loud. Even in her later years, Lana spoke only in hints, metaphors, or guarded anecdotes. When asked about those rumors, she'd flash her signature smile, warm, mysterious, and completely unreadable. "I've had many friends," she once said in an interview. "Some closer than others." That was the closest she ever came to confirmation. But those who knew her, truly knew her, said the pain of hiding it all lingered long after the camera crews went home. She lived decades with the burden of silence. She survived the gossip columns, the courtroom heartbreak, the abusive partners, and the betrayals from people she once trusted with her body and her secrets. And yet, she never broke. Even as Hollywood changed and younger stars took the spotlight, Lana Turner remained luminous. A living ghost of a golden age, draped in diamonds and shadows. She spoke openly later in life, about the loneliness that fame brought, about the men she married, about the mistakes she owned. But the 7 women? That story stayed behind velvet ropes, rarely spoken, never confirmed. Until whispers found their way into memoirs. Until confidants leaked the names. Until fans started connecting dots Lana had deliberately scattered across decades. Her story, the true one, was never black and white. It was silver screen smoke and broken mirrors. And behind it all, a woman who dared to want more than the world allowed her to have. By the 1980s, Lana Turner's career had quieted, but her legend had not. She made occasional appearances on stage and television, most notably in Falcon Crest, where her elegance still lit up the screen. Fans adored her. Paparazzi still chased her. But behind the eyeliner and red lipstick, Lana was confronting something she couldn't outrun. The weight of a lifetime lived in duality. She began to reflect, to speak more candidly in interviews. She published her autobiography, Lana, The Lady, the Legend, the Truth, in 1982, a raw, unfiltered look at the price of stardom. But even then she left parts of her truth in the dark. What she did reveal was enough to silence skeptics and shock fans. She spoke of the loneliness, the regrets, and the sheer exhaustion of constantly playing a role, not just on screen but in life. And then came the final battle. By the early 1990s, Lana's health was in decline. Decades of alcohol and chain smoking had taken their toll. She quit drinking entirely in her early 60s, a quiet but determined act of self-preservation. But smoking? That habit never let her go. In 1992, she was diagnosed with throat cancer. At first, doctors were hopeful. The cancer had been caught early and hadn't touched her vocal cords. Lana, ever the fighter, went public with the news and projected strength. But the hope didn't last. The cancer spread to her jaw, her lungs. She underwent radiation therapy, endured pain few ever saw, and leaned heavily on her daughter, Cheryl, who stayed by her side every step of the way. In 1993, a flicker of light, remission. But a year later, in 1994, the cancer returned. Fiercer, deeper. In a wheelchair, but radiant as ever, Lana made one last public appearance at the San Sebastián Film Festival in Spain. She accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award, frail but proud, every inch the star she had always been. 9 months later, on June 29, 1995, Lana Turner died in her Century City home. Cheryl was holding her hand. The world mourned the loss of a Hollywood icon. But the woman who passed away that day was far more than just a star. Lana Turner died at 74, but her myth never aged. To the world, she was the platinum blonde with the sultry eyes and scandalous past. The sweater girl. The femme fatale. The Hollywood starlet who married 7 men and survived a murder in her home. But to those who looked deeper, she was something else entirely. She was a survivor. She endured abuse, manipulation, betrayal, and still managed to shine. Not with the perfection Hollywood demanded, but with grit, grace, and vulnerability. She wore her wounds like diamonds. Quietly. With dignity. And those 7 names? The women she loved and lost in silence? They were never confirmed. Never spoken in public. But they lived in the margins of her story, in the tension between what she revealed and what she didn't. In the pauses between questions and answers. In the pain behind her smile. Lana Turner's life was defined by contradictions. She was the picture of femininity, and a woman navigating queer desire in an era that criminalized it. She was a starlet of mass appeal, and someone who often felt most alone in a room full of fans. In the end, her greatest role may not have been one she played on screen. It was the role of Lana Turner herself. The woman who built her life out of illusions, but still left behind glimmers of something painfully real. Her story is a mirror, cracked but luminous, reflecting not just one woman's battles, but the struggle of an entire generation of women, to be seen, to be free, and to be loved without conditions. Even now, decades later, the name Lana Turner evokes images of elegance and drama. But behind that name lived a person full of longing, rage, joy, and secrets. And maybe that's what makes her unforgettable. Because Lana Turner didn't just survive Hollywood. She outlived it.